guest on the Goodyear Hotline. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Small, though.
Yeah, tiny.
What's that?
When he's just talking about Dominique, smaller corner. It's a smaller guy.
I'm so impressed. Like,
Yeah.
when I see the fact that Jay, I bring this up from time to time, is 6'2" and was the number 2 pick in the draft is incredible.
With shoes, yes.
It's the level of athlete Jay Will is. People don't even understand. 7 billion people on Earth. The percentage of people 6'2" who ever play in the NBA as a percentage of the world's population of people 6'2" is almost nothing. And to be not just a player, but the number 2 pick, it's insane. When I see someone Dominique Foxworth's size playing in the NFL, a defensive position where you got to hit and get hit, I'm amazed. I'm amazed.
There's some dudes smaller than Neek that play.
No doubt, Neek is not quite as small as you. Like Neek is.
He's small, but there's some dudes smaller.
Yeah. Oh, for
He's
sure.
a smaller defensive back.
It's more so the understanding, like when you were like, hey, are you a Powell inspector or things like that? Like Neek's like, well, I couldn't be. Like that's how I had to get my checks. Like I have to be in the trenches, right?
Yeah.
Doing all that dirty stuff at that size. Like that speaks volumes about what people are willing to sacrifice to get there.
Yeah, you diving in them piles when you little like that. You got 340, 350-pound dudes pulling at you.
Oh, Lord.
That's why when we see the best of the best, it's like, hold on, that dude is the biggest, got the fastest twitchies, and does all the dirty work. Those dudes are rare, hard to come by. Those are the greatest of the greatest, right?
Yeah.
And went to Harvard, what?
Well, yeah, Neek went to he's at Harvard Business, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Here is Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones, son of the owner, Jerry Jones. And you know, guys, nepotism in business is supposed to make you worse, but these dudes draft. I got to tip my cap to the Jones family. On 105.3 The Fan in Dallas on Monday, asked if the Cowboys' division lead allows them to be more cautious with Dak Prescott.
I don't necessarily know that it's because we got a healthy lead in the East. I think it's more just the full body of work, as you mentioned, as knowing that we've got a long season in front of us, have 11 games left to play. And, at the end of the day, we got to make what's in the best interest of Dak Prescott.
That's Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. Key, what should the Cowboys do with Dak?
They should play him. If he's healthy and ready to go, you play him. You don't mess around. This is about seeding. They have an opportunity to potentially get a first-round bye. They're going to win the division. But do you want to win the division and be the 6th seed? Or do you want to win the division and be the 1st seed? I mean, like.
Only one bye per conference.
It's only one bye. He can rest when we get the bye. Because the injury is not that severe any damn way. It's just not. And I don't think people really looking at it. They're sitting there saying, well, he's got an injury. He should rest. Rest for what? I just gave this dude $200 million, man.
Well, I think a lot of people get concerned considering of the injury he came off. When you hear lower extremity injury, people are like, just like you want to put him in bubble wrap. Look, if Dak feels like he's good to go, let him go. I don't want to see this offense lose their mojo in chemistry. I saw what it was last year without Dak. If he can be there, if he can go, let that thing keep on revving up.
If you decide to sit him down, Jay, what is that going to do for you? You lose that game, you're falling behind. If you get a lead and you're up by 17 points in the late fourth quarter and you want to sub somebody in, yeah, you could do that. But you certainly better start that dude and play him.
Well, let me play devil's advocate, okay? The Dak is coming off a bye. So if you rest him again, you have the longest rest you can give him for a guy with a type of injury, like a tissue injury that takes a little bit of time to get better. So the idea is you're gunning for the number 1 seed in the conference, right? Forget about the NFC East. You got that already. We know that. But as you said, Key, that bye is huge. It can determine a Super Bowl winner. You're gunning for the bye by getting the 1 seed. Maybe you have a better chance to get it even if you lose this game because you have a Dak that's closer to 100% for the rest of the season.
No. Y'all talking like fans and not like players and coaches.
Well,
you can't.
But I am.
He will be underneath the center come Sunday, and he will play, and he will do well, and they will rest him at the end of the game. That's just it.
I wouldn't flirt with that game, man. It's at Minnesota too. Like that's
You can't be messing around.
Minnesota's one of those tricky teams.
All
Sack
of
you
a
a
sudden-
lot. They get to the quarterback a lot.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, you lose to Minnesota. Minnesota goes on a hot streak. Now you lost to them head to head.
Yeah.
Like you cannot.
You can't predict the future, what's going to happen, but
Yeah.
you can stack the deck in your favor as much as possible. And I like, Key, when you say rest when you get the bye, if you go get the
Yeah,
bye,
the
right? That's
rest
interesting. But maybe, but what I'm saying is, are you more likely to get that bye where you can rest him again? Or are you more likely to get it by sitting him down
No,
and making
you're
sure
not.
he's closer to full strength?
No, because
Why
because he's at full strength now.
Okay.
Everybody's nicked up, banged up throughout the season.
Yeah, they're
Every-
not
you
playing
don't think-
tiddlywinks.
you don't
They're
think
playing
Tom-
football.
You
Yeah.
don't think Tom Brady is hurting in some places right now?
Well, yeah, his thumb hurt.
Oh, well,
yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
he played
There's
through
a
it.
thumb,
Yeah,
see?
the thumb injury.
And he had an ACL. He had a knee sprain or something that he had to get a light little operation on in the offseason. Last year, he played the entire year and won the Super Bowl.
Now, I don't think he would do it at all because I know Dak is as a player and as a competitor. But what happens if Dak were to say, "Hey, I might need one"?
Yeah, this ain't basketball, Jay. You get your tail on the field and you
I'm
play.
just
We're not-
curious.
There is no low.
If I were to
management.
Dak and you were
There's no low. It's
Mr.
only got
Jones, I was like,
17
"Look,
games.
man,
It's only
the body
17
just
games.
doesn't feel right.
Actually-
Something's here.
actually,
do you mind if I get
No,
one?"
No,
Well, Key, what
ain't
you just
getting
said-
one. There's an ice tub in there. Go get that.
What you just said, there's only 17 games. In fact, for a sport as violent as football,
Yes, very
there
violent.
are now 17
yeah.
regular season
Yes.
games. It's
and then
a
in the future,
marathon.
there'll be 18.
Yeah, it's
and
a
then by the time
marathon.
you 80, they might be 19.
And you know what? At a certain point, you're going to, in the CBA, players are only going to be allowed to play 17 of the 18 or 17 of the 19.
Oh, well, cross that bridge when we get to it. For right now,
So right
Dak
now, I'm gonna need
Prescott-
your ass on the field.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm not claiming, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not like, there is a lot to be said for the example you set. What did Messier say on this show? Mark Messier said yesterday, leadership. It's not just about motivating someone else. It's about inspiring them to be their best self, right? So Dak Prescott going out there, starting
Yes.
the game is inspirational on top of everything else. And it's also expected in the NFL, right? I'm not saying that it's a cut and dried case. I'm not even arguing the other side, really, but I am exploring the other side of this. Coming off a bye, you give him one more rest against a very good defense in terms of getting to the quarterback. Boy, that's as healthy as he's going to be the rest of the way.
I just don't see Dak doing that. I've never taken Dak as a guy that would take a day off,
but you don't.
even if you recommended it.
But the
Yeah,
only
he
way
doesn't
you take
strike me as
the only
that
way you
type.
take a day off is when you get to the end of the season.
when things are already secure.
Everything's secure. Then at that point, you start to take a look at a handful of players that may need to rest up. And as they rest up, then that's when you say, okay, you can do something different.
Is the football that you know, Key, that you came up in and that you believe in, because the tried and true ways they're tried and true for a reason. But are there changing circumstances that you have already experienced or that you think could change your attitude about certain things that you now believe in football? In other words, is the classic way to do all this stuff already set and you think it's as good as it's going to get? Or are there new things to be learned, like as seasons get longer, in terms of resting players?
I think it's the same. Coaches and players, when I played, it's the same as it is now. It's the same as it is. If you can play, you play. And if you're banged up and you cannot play, you don't play. My nephew played last year on 2 bad ankles when he missed the majority of the season. But he played because he could play. He just wasn't effective because of the ankles.
Yeah.
So when you can get out there, you get out there and you play.
It's the nature of a full contact sport like football. Been one of the most one-sided rivalries in college football, and one person who keeps winning is here to pile on. That's after Key has this from Indeed.
When you have your own business, you basically